At the southern tip of the Japanese archipelago, a cluster of uninhabited islands, now on the front line of what may be a new flashpoint. They lie close to significant oil and gas deposits, strategic shipping routes and lucrative fishing grounds. To Japan, they are the Senkaku Islands. China calls them the Diaoyus. But for 50 years, they've been administered and controlled by Tokyo. Taiwan also claims ownership. China's government had warned Japan against changing the status of the islands and has now reportedly deployed Coast Guard vessels to the area, as it has done many times before.
It's a serious provocation against China's territorial sovereignty that the Japanese side passed a bill to change the name. It's illegal and invalid. It cannot change the fact that the Diaoyu Islands belong to China. We firmly oppose the relevant move made by the Japanese side. China has lodged solemn representations with Japan through diplomatic channels and reserves the right to further react.
The rising tensions in the East China Sea come as China's military continues to assert its maritime claims in the nearby South China Sea, and while its soldiers are involved in another sovereignty dispute with India.
And what's also come to a head is the ongoing dispute between India and China, giving a lot of concern to the Japanese government that the Chinese are going for a rather big geographical push.
This dispute has often stirred nationalist sentiment. 2012 saw violent anti-Japanese protests in many Chinese cities after Japan's government brought 3 of the islands from their private owners. And although Monday's renaming decision was taken by a municipal council, it could still inflame passions once more. What makes the waters of the East China Sea so potentially turbulent is the high profile of another military. This warship, evidence of a 60-year-old treaty which obligates the United States to defend Japan if it's attacked. It's a treaty that's yet to be seriously tested.
And Adrian joins us now live from Hong Kong. So we've heard the reaction from Beijing there, Adrian. What happens next?
Well, China has said it's going to be sending Coast Guard vessels into those waters around those disputed islands. Japan says, well, no change there because that's what China's been doing for the past couple of months. And that is perhaps why this municipal council has taken the decision that it has. I think that as long as, both sides send their Coast Guard vessels into their area, then I think, this will not turn into a conflict. But if both sides decide to send warships into these troubled waters, then of course it could be a very different outcome. I think to look at the wider picture, we have to understand that for China right now, nothing matters more than sovereignty, whether it's bits of India that China says belongs to it, whether it's China's increasing assertive claims over sovereignty over Taiwan, and the way that it's enforcing its will on an almost daily basis here in Hong Kong. To appreciate what China's doing, you have to look, I think, at history, and China's claims go back a very long way. Now, analysts say, we're not going to see conflict in the East China Sea anytime soon, but we're not going to see peace either. When we have maritime disputes in this part of the world, we always think about the South China Sea dispute, but there has been another long simmering dispute going on, and that's the East China Sea.
Thank you for that, Adrian Brown, live for us there in Hong Kong.